Welcome to the January edition of the Nude Wine Club. This month we have two reds, both of them offering really good value for money. One of them from Bordeaux, classic Bordeaux blend, verging up into the right bank, and the other one is from Puglia, so one of my go-to regions for great value reds. And then for the white, we've gone great value again, but value in the higher price point. And oftentimes people wonder, okay, if I'm going to spend a few extra quid on a bottle of white, what should I go for? Where is the value? Petit Chablis is a great one to look at. So we've decided to go with a really beautiful Chardonnay from France, which is a Petit Chablis. So Petit Chablis was really big a few years ago, and then it kind of came out of favour for whatever reason. I don't particularly know why. There was no reason for it. But Petit Chablis, it's part of the Chablis area, and there's a river that runs through Chablis called the Sereine. And on either side there are slopes, and the vineyards are located on those slopes on either side. And Petit Chablis is located on the top parts of those slopes. And it was a new area designated in 1944. So prior to that, you would have got Chablis, Chablis Premier Cru, and Chablis Grand Cru. But they created this new area. The reason being is it's in the same, this new appellation, which was designated to be able to produce Chablis from the Chardonnay grape. And so the reason that they were able to is because it shares the same everything, the same soil, the same sunshine hours, the same terroir. But what it offers is really good value for money, and it offers more production as well. And what we found certainly in the last 15 years in the wine industry, any of these areas that have a slightly more extreme or continental climate are really affected by climate change. So the production has been damaged severely, and anyone who's been watching the news over the last few years would have seen these fires being lit at the bottom of all the vines, certainly during any type of late season frost. So what happens is generally after Easter, the grapes appear on the vines and they start to grow. But what's happened with climate change is that because we've had warmer winters, the grape and the vines think, okay, summer's come, we better produce the grapes. And they do that too early. So that might start in, say, February or March. And when you get, it's usually around Easter, when you get those Easter frosts, they damage all those fruits, those bunches of grapes that have started to grow on the vines, and it can decimate the crop because they've arrived early. So what's happened is there's a lot less Chablis. The prices have gone up. It's really affected supply and demand, because really with vine growers, they're farmers. They only get one chance in the year to produce their crop. So Petit Chablis offers another crop of Chardonnay from that same area, sharing the same flavour profiles. So we're delighted to find this beautiful Petit Chablis. What it is really dry, quite citrusy, and it's got a lovely softness in the palate, and it'll be really perfect with seafood, shellfish. For me, it's perfect by itself, or maybe with a little bit of cheese. It's a really beautiful wine. But Petit Chablis, there's nothing little about it, even though it means little Chablis. It's just the way they've named the area, and that area sits on the top of those slopes on either side of the river. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it helps you discover some new part of Burgundy. Chablis is always 100% Chardonnay. The rules are, if you want to call your wine Chablis, and that be it Chablis, Chablis or Premier Cru, Chablis Grand Cru, or Petit Chablis, it has to be 100% Chardonnay, and you have to grow your grapes in that Chablis area. So you might hate Chardonnay and love Chablis. That's really normal. I hear that all the time. The reason why people tend to say I hate Chardonnay is that they've had a really bad vanilla flavoured oak interpretation, but Chablis is the classic steely, minerally, unoaked style. More similar to a Sancerre, which is Sauvignon Blanc, in flavour profile. Dry, steely, zesty. Absolutely delicious. So I hope you enjoyed that Petit Chablis, and pair it with something lovely on a Sunday afternoon. So the Chateau Au Grevalier is the first red as part of our Nude Wine Club for this month. And it's a wine that we've had on the wine list in the shop since we started, for good reason. It's a really exceptional quality value for money Bordeaux. A lot of times Bordeaux under a certain price point is really thin, has no real flavour, doesn't really deliver in anything. Whereas this, for us, always has loads of upfront fruit flavours, but it's got that beautiful note of, it's called cigar box or cedar or forest floor flavours, that kind of slightly savoury undertone. So Bordeaux is typically a blend of grapes. Depending on where it's located within the Bordeaux region, which is quite a big region, it will always have Merlot and Cabernet in it, and it just depends where it's located, how much Cabernet is at, and how much Merlot will be in it. I know Merlot got a terrible reputation from the Sideways film. It's still France's most widely planted grape, in the top 5 most widely planted grapes in the world, and it offers a lot. It's easy to drink. It makes wines or grapes like Cabernet, which are really full-bodied, robust, really tannic, softer and more approachable. So in Bordeaux, there's a river that runs through it. On the left side, it's mainly Cabernet. On the right side, it's mainly Merlot. And then there's a place in between called Entre deux Mers, which is between the two seas, or between the rivers. So that's typically a place where you'd find white Bordeaux, and this is where this wine is located, and it's slightly on the right bank, moving towards the likes of Pomerol or Saint-Emilion, which are the Merlot-based Bordeaux styles. This is a Merlot-based Bordeaux, so 75% Merlot. The little bit of Cabernet adds the darker fruit and those slightly more savoury notes. This is gorgeous, brilliant value for money, tastes like more than it is. So you can have it on your Thursday, Friday night, or make a big deal and have it with something nice on a Saturday. It's absolutely gorgeous. A great wine, great value for money, and something that we hope you enjoy. So the third wine, as part of the Nude Wine Club, is this really gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous glass of red from Puglia. So if you think of Italy like a leg, Puglia is the high heel. It's really bottom tip, it's a long slender area, and it's surrounded nearly like an island by sea breezes, which cools down a lot of the temperatures. So this particular one has 3 grapes in it: Nero di Troia, which you don't see very often, Sangiovese and Montepulciano. So the first one, Nero di Troia, is known for producing a really dark, rich, nearly black fruit style of wine. So when it's blended in, the extra grapes kind of soften out those flavours, but certainly Nero di Troia is famed for, and most, if you're going to buy a bottle of Nero di Troia, you're buying a really full-bodied bottle of wine, a really dark fruit flavoured one. Sangiovese, which is blended here, and Montepulciano are actually known for having red fruit flavours, so those kind of red cherries, raspberry, kind of plum flavours. So they definitely soften out those bigger fruit flavours that you're going to get in Nero di Troia. Puglia, as a region, is most famed for having Primitivo, Negro Amaro and Nero di Troia as the 3 main grapes. But in fact, you can get, like we have as this example, some Sangiovese and some Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. So if you look at Italy like the big long leg, the northern part of Italy is where you're going to get the lighter styles of wine, and also northern Italy is considered where all the king grapes grow. So your Barolos, your Brunellos, your Amarones, they're really expensive as well. So the further south you go, generally the better value you're going to get out of the wines, because the real estate is less, because they have less, I suppose, notoriety associated with the wines. They can, they're not able to charge the same high prices. So Puglia is a great place to go if you want to get good value reds, and it's a question I get asked all the time: where can I get the best value for money? So for me, southern Italy, Spain and Portugal definitely deliver bang for buck, and when you try this wine you'll really enjoy the bright fruit flavours, and now with the addition of the Nero di Troia, the addition of those darker fruit flavours, just to add a little bit of oomph to the wine.